1370 WOCA. Ocala.
right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in to The Source, WOCA. Nice-looking Thursday. And a gentleman who's been with us before, who also happens to be a radio host, is on the phone. He is Rod Eccles. You probably have heard him on the Rod Eccles Show. He is described as the coolest, most politically incorrect conservative black man on the planet. He'd be politically correct in some areas, I would think. He's on the phone, and let's see, what else can I tell you about him? A strong constitutional conservative, social marketer. He helps soldiers find gainful employment upon returning home from their tour of duty. Wow, that's nice. And he's the founder of Zine Media and... Is that Zine, Ron? Zine. Zinc, I'm sorry. I need new glasses. Zinc Media and Zinc Marketing, as well as the Zinc Agency. The truth behind news about politics, pop culture, and current events. I'm glad we have him for a long time. Rod, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Sure.
Oh, your phone had a bad thing right there. Well, nice to have you back on with us today.
Thanks for having me back.
So the one thing in the news this morning is that shooting death. I have positions on so many of these stories, so we can swap notes. I bet you we agree on all of them. I bet you. I mean, the one in South Carolina, the shooting the guy in the back, absolutely that police officer was wrong. There's no way you can justify that one. Do you agree?
I agree. You know, I always tell people that you have to withhold judgment until you know all the facts. In the video, I did take a look at the video, and unfortunately, it is very damaging to the police officer. And there just doesn't seem to be any justification, including, because sometimes you don't know what happened before the filming started, but this was it seems to be so blatant. But again, we still have to wait for all the facts to be heard and to be aired. But it does not look good for this police officer. No,
it doesn't. And I don't know the police officer, but you have to wonder if there wasn't some racial attitudes on his part, especially with that other story that came out from, I think it was a couple of years ago, where he went to this guy's home and he threatened to tase him if he didn't put up his hands, and he tased him anyway. Did you see that story?
I did not, but
and he was also a black man, by the way.
Yeah, there are similar stories like that run all across the country. But, one of the things that really gets me about these stories is that they really are pretty much isolated incidents. But the media, certain aspects of the media are making this seem like this is run-of-the-mill stuff that happens every single day.
That's a good point.
I don't think it does. These are rare incidents, but when they do happen, they do blow them up to make them sound like they happen. And it's a sad tragedy. It really is.
Right. Well, when you, because there's a racial element. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin story, I did not realize I was talking about a racial story. This was way back, obviously. And that story, by the way, I think George Zimmerman was out of line too, by the way. In Ferguson, I think the police officer seems justified, but in the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman, I think Zimmerman really was bullying that young man, and then I think he murdered him. If I was on the jury, I think that's what I would have said. But my point is that I didn't know there was a racial thing there. I just heard there was a teenager who got killed by a what do you call, neighborhood watch guy over in DeLand, because we're so close to DeLand. That's the story I had. I didn't have any mention of race in the first story. And I just thought, how horrible is this? What's up with this security, whatever you call those guys? So, in my mind, I'm guessing it's the same way with you, Rod. I'm guessing that, race probably doesn't enter your mind when you're just thinking about one human being versus another.
It really, to be completely and totally frank, obviously, we all have race thoughts because it's the first thing that we see in another person. But because it's a striking difference. They look different from us, or they look very much like us, and that's just a natural human trait. There's nothing wrong with that. It depends on what you think after that.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think most of us, frankly, we do not consider race when we decide to become friends with somebody or work with somebody or we want to be their business partner
or vote. Or when you vote for somebody, I don't think race played a role in any of my votes ever.
No, they definitely didn't play a role in any of mine, and it's unfortunate that we have come a long way since Martin Luther King and civil rights in the 60s. Let's be honest.
Yeah, sure.
We are really a racist nation anymore. Now, you could have said that before pre-civil rights. Maybe you could have said and been pretty accurate about, this was a racially segregated, racially motivated nation. It is not the case anymore. And if you just look at government numbers, and look at things like the last census, we're finding out that there are more interracial couples and marriages than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
We have a burgeoning population of millennials that are mixed-race children. That is not the sign of a racially divided nation. That's a sign of a racially homogenous nation. But we still have the so-called race pimps out there that are just pushing this stuff. And you mentioned, the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case. Look, that's the first time I've ever heard the term white Latino.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. But it is crazy that we even label people. I mean, one person has killed another person. That's it. That's what we need to know. I mean, unless there is something about the story that is important. You know what I did one time? I came out of the grocery store. I had told a joke to the cashier, or she told me a joke, but it was something funny that happened between me and the cashier. And I went, and next time I saw Robin, I told Robin the story. Now, the lady who was the cashier happened to be a black lady. And the first thing I said to Robin, I got a funny story to tell you. The black lady who was at that Publix grocery store told me a joke or whatever. And then I said to Robin, I wonder why it was important to tell you her race when that had nothing to do with the story. I should have just said a cashier told me this joke. And so I recognized it in myself, not that I was trying to be condescending in any way, but it was just my natural way of describing who I had been talking to.
And again, that is very natural, and I don't think that means that we're not colorblind. If we, when we're describing somebody, we're trying to describe the thing that is most striking, so people understand. And usually, we can say, well, it's the black lady, or we'll say it's the redhead, if they have red hair. I mean, that's the most striking.
That's true.
thing.
Yeah, we do that too. Yeah. Is this? I'm guessing this is not a predominant talking point for you on your radio show, though. I mean, I've made it so far. In this little discussion we've had so far, I've done it to you, and that's my fault. But I'm guessing you cover the map when you're on your radio show.
I do. I don't really linger too long on racial issues because I don't. It's simply because I don't believe firmly that we're a pre-racial society. I don't believe that we're still back in the 1950s or the 1890s. We're not there anymore.
And that's a good thing, yeah, absolutely. Where are you right now? Did I ask you that already? Where are you calling from?
I'm up in Concord, New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire, okay. How's the weather? Cold?
Yeah, we just got some snow last night. Hopefully
no. More snow? What? Holy mackerel. So do you have an opinion on the whole global warming thing?
Yeah, it's a bunch of bunk.
I like that answer. I like that answer a lot. So when you take callers to your show, do you find that some of the callers that call your show have the same issues as callers to other people's show, or do you have something that's unique that's brought up?
No, well, I think that people are people, and I think when the callers that I do get, they're pretty much expressing the gamut of feelings, emotions, and thoughts across the board. I even get liberals. I get people who try to sneak on and try to be very vulgar. That has happened more than once on my show.
Oh.
Has that ever happened to us? I think so.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. It happens all the time. Rod, we need to take a little break. Rod Eccles is our guest right now, and you can hear him live on the Blog Talk Radio Network Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will tell you how you can listen to him on the internet when we come back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A nice warm day today with plenty of sunshine. The high 82 at the coast, but 89 inland. Partly cloudy tonight, though 64 to 68. Tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a shower or thunderstorm around in the afternoon and evening. The high 84 at the coast, 91 inland. For Saturday, clouds breaking for some sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. The high 84 at the coast, 89 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Pay your taxes, eat your vegetables, watch your weight, mow the lawn, clean the house. We all have stuff we don't want to do. Isn't it about time you did something you wanted to do? Like getting your pilot's license? At Ocala Aviation, they make it fun and easy, and you can start by taking one of their Discovery flights. For only $99, you get to go up in the airplane with an FAA-certified flight instructor and actually fly the plane yourself. It's a perfect way to see if flying is for you. And once you get that ultimate feeling of freedom, Ocala Aviation can train you to get your pilot's license. Ocala Aviation also offers commercial flight training for those looking to make a career change and enter the world of commercial aviation. Ocala Aviation is conveniently located at the Ocala International Airport. So if you're ready to start your adventure, stop by or give them a call today. 861-7484. That's 861-7484. You'll be glad you did. I know I am. Ocala Aviation. Call today. 861-7484. Don't get caught without your daily source of senior deals. Pick up your copy of the Senior Voice newspaper. It's your source for schedule and events tailored to seniors, with information you need, like a list of free events in the area. We even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company to you that fits your needs. And all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about them. For more information, call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223. And pick up your copy of the Senior's Voice at most any business up and down the 200 corridor.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
All right, 16 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Rod Eccles is on the phone up in New Hampshire, where it snowed last night. Can you believe that? He's the host of the Rod Eccles Show. And I mentioned one network, but it looks like you're on more than one. Am I right?
Yeah, we're just starting out my syndicating career, if you will, and we're on. We've added a few more stations, and we're adding more by the end of April.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about some of the fluffier topics, if you will. Do you talk about pop culture at all?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. And I always try to relate it to how it relates to and affects politics and policy.
And do we have any stories about that today? You know, when I was online this morning and I was looking at this trending video of kids listening to music from 1993. And it was kind of funny because that seems like yesterday to me and Robin, but to these kids, they weren't even born yet. It's just amazing to me that you know, time flies and you don't realize it.
Yeah, 93. Geez, it's 22, 23 years ago now. That's wow.
Yeah, one of them was saying, I think this is the music that my brother listened to. He's way older than me. I think he's 23. That's what one of the kids said.
Did you travel with your folks when your dad was in the Air Force, or did your mom stay in one place while your dad was stationed in different areas?
No, we've actually lived in, visited places like Athens, Greece, Madrid, Spain, Turkey, the island of Crete. The weird thing is that I've seen a good part of the Mediterranean, but as far as the United States, until I became an adult, really all I saw was pretty much the northeastern part of the states, from as far west as Michigan, and only going as far south as New York and Ohio. We took a trip to D.C. when I was a kid once, but that was about it. And when I became an adult, then it's when I spread my wings and started visiting other parts of the country. But I was pretty much a Northeast brat, I guess you could say.
Oh, wow. Did your travels outside of the country help influence your in any way, maybe fortify or realize something about our own country and our Constitution? Absolutely.
You know, I do credit that because I actually got to see and live with different people from different places. I know I was a kid, but that still sticks with you because you get to experience not being or being in the minority, I guess you could say, as far as your national background, and knowing that people around you are speaking a totally different language that you do not yet understand. So
right.
What it's like to come here from another country and not being able to speak English very well and not being able to fully understand. So I have some sympathy and empathy for people like that. But at the same time, I know I watch my parents struggle to try to learn the local language enough that they can converse with people around them. And they actually gave it a shot. I know that we were in Greece twice, and my mother says that because I was a little baby when the first time my father was stationed in Athens, but my mother said because I spent a lot of time with our landlord, actually the first language I began to speak was actually Greek, not English.
Oh, wow. Can you speak any of it still?
I can understand it more than I can actually speak it today. Unfortunately, I wish I was able to keep up with it. But, of course, there are a few of the naughty swear words that I still remember very well.
Why do you think that people who are born and raised in the United States, that some of the people, they just get lazy and they don't want to better themselves, but then you have people, immigrants that come over that go through the process to become American citizens. They seem to be thriving in their own entrepreneurial businesses.
It's very simple. I think it's simply due to being comfortable, overly comfortable. We're a nation that really does not and has not had to suffer a lot over the past 100 years or so. I mean, let's face it. World War II was the last time that people really had to do without something. You couldn't get pantyhose, you couldn't buy a new car. That was pretty much the last time that we actually felt the effects of something that was going on in the world. These last few decades, when we were at war with other nations like Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq again, bombing Libya, that type of thing, we, other than missing the people that we love that were sent over there, we didn't feel any of it.
Yeah, it's true. Good point. Yeah, and I don't know how old you are. My mom and dad are the World War II generation, and that's their story. I mean, that's what they remember. We had this whole piece one day about the things that were rationed and how they made substitutes for those rations. Like even lady stockings, they just had a pencil they drew on the back of their leg or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not used to adversity. We're really not, and I think because everything. Let's face it. One of the big. I speak to a lot of immigrants. We're kind of a Manchester and Concord, believe it or not, are one of those relocation points that the government likes to use and drop off immigrants, either be they legal or illegal or refugees. Especially, we have a refugee center here in Concord. They just recently relocated 3 refugee families from Southeast Asia in the Concord area. But I get to speak to some of these people on occasion, and one of the main things that really surprises and gets them that Americans take for granted big time is our supermarkets. And really, we can go. It's not just that we have a 24/7 society. We can go just about anywhere 24 hours a day. Now, and like McDonald's or something, and get something to eat.
Right.
But we can also go to a fully stocked grocery store all the time. They are so impressed and flabbergasted by that. They cannot understand how that is possible. Because back in their own country, the countries that they're leaving, the shelves are often empty.
And it's that lifestyle that we are very, very guarded to protect, and it's that lifestyle that we fear we will be losing if we elect the wrong people into office. And listening to candidates' speeches prior to being elected, I mean, you have to really read between the lines, and more importantly, look at legislation that they were involved with before, which is why, somebody I like Ben Carson a lot, but he's never held an office. So while I like what he says a lot and would vote for him, I don't know that I would vote for him because of the fact that he's never held an office.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because we can't really say that on one breath that Obama is not qualified. I mean, he was only a U.S. senator for 2 years before he became president, so he wasn't qualified. And then say, well, Ben Carson would make an excellent president. That's a little bit
exactly, yeah.
You seem to be very in tune with the people, though. I mean, you are a self-made person. You are very entrepreneurial in your own right. And you started at the bottom, too, and worked up with your own businesses.
I did a number of different times. I mean, I actually started with a landscaping company back in New York State, and I did pretty well. And you know, I've always been taught that you go to work. You go to work. Well, my father, you know, when he retired from the military, he didn't sit around and do nothing. He went and found another job and another career. He went to work, and I've never been afraid of hard work. You know, I've fallen down a lot, but I pick myself up and I move on. Cause I've always felt that it is me. It's all up to me. This is a country where I have the opportunity to make something of myself. And a lot of people across this planet, you know, you got to understand, we're what, 320 million people? There's about 7.5 billion people on this planet. And only a very small percentage of that actually has an opportunity to fulfill their own personal dreams and destiny. We can do that here in this country, and it's up to each individual to do that. And I realize it's not government is not going to make me successful or wealthy or whatever I decide success is.
Right.
For me to do.
When you have guests on your show that have exactly the opposite opinion of you, like let's say you were to get Al Franken on or something like that, I'm guessing you and he wouldn't agree on a lot of political things. How do you have that? How do you handle that kind of an interview? I can tell you how we do it, and let's just compare notes. I guess the way we do it, we listen to what the other person has to say, and we hopefully allow them to realize that we respect who they are and what they've accomplished. And then we say, can I differ with you on something? Would you be okay with me actually debating a point? As opposed to some radio hosts who pound their fists and they're screaming at each other, and you never, as the listener, you never really get to hear either one of their sides.
Oh, I do. I like to listen to what people have to say. In fact, I always invite liberals to call my show. And what I usually find that happens is, because I'm very logical, I'm very fact-based. I like historical facts, you know, up-to-date facts, and I like to filter it all through logic and come up with a logical conclusion. And I find that most liberals, at least when I talk to them directly or on my show, is that they're all about emotion. So they don't see the same thing that I see, because they're not looking at it from the brain point of view. They're looking at it from, well, I feel. Well, you know, your feelings really don't count, because feelings are very poor policy. So I ask them basic questions about themselves. Do they like, you know, this type of law that affects their life? And then I also tend to ask them all the time, and I would ask Franken the same thing. What gives you the right to think that you know better than me, that gives you the right to tell me how to live my daily life? I can never get a straight answer from anyone.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah. Well, anything that is regulating in that way. So with that said, how do you feel about the gay marriage debate?
You know, look, what people do in their own bedrooms is their business. Now, I happen to be a Christian, and you know, you take that for what it's worth. I know that there are all kinds of different Christians out there, but look, we're a nation that has a constitution that gives people liberty. Plain and simple. No, I do not believe in gay marriage. I believe marriage is between a straight man and a straight woman, and it is a religious ceremony. It is not a government ceremony.
That's my opinion on that one too. Barry Manilow was in the news this morning. He got married to some guy. and I thought, well, you know, I've always said that this is something that should be a church thing and not a state thing or a government thing. But well, you are always an interesting guy, Rod. Hopefully we've introduced you to some people who hadn't heard of you before, and they tune into you. So we can listen on the radio, or are you from somebody here in Ocala? I mean, or can we only hear you on internet radio?
Well, we're making some moves, and pretty soon, I if we can ink the deals, I will be on some terrestrial radio stations, as they call them. But they can catch me now at rodeccles.net and get all the information of where they can hear me online and offline and things like that. Hopefully, we'll be moving on to places like iHeart pretty soon.
Excellent. Now let me spell your name for the listeners: RODE. 2 C's, RODECCLES, RODECCLES, rodeccles.net. Robin actually already put it on the Facebook page and on the guest list for today on WOCA.com. Rod, you're great, and you have a great voice, too. I'm sure you hear that all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on our show. And good luck, and you're always welcome back. All right, we'll take a little break. We will be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. We may see more evidence today in the apparent shooting of an unarmed black man by Wayne, South Carolina police officer Michael Slager, all caught on a witness video.
Dispatch, shots fired. Subject is down. He grabbed my taser.
That's the radio dispatch recording. Today we might get a new look from the police car dashboard camera. The footage has been under review by South Carolina state law enforcement, which is investigating the incident.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. The jury in the Boston Marathon trial will now decide on the punishment for Johar Tsarnaev.
In order for Tsarnaev to be given the death penalty, the jury has to be unanimous on that decision. Tsarnaev showed no emotion when the verdicts were read yesterday. He was found guilty on all 30 counts, including conspiracy and using a weapon of mass destruction.
Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers. Deliberations continue today in the murder trial of ex-New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez and the killing of Odin Lloyd. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Things aren't the same as they were when Geico started saving people money over 75 years ago. We didn't have reality TV. Back then, it was just reality. The most exciting thing that ever happened was when Jimmy got his head stuck in a gopher hole. And trust me, that's not a show anyone would binge watch. Yep, we didn't have much entertainment, but switching our car insurance to Geico was pretty exciting.
Geico, saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years.
At Napa Auto Parts, we got your car covered. Front to back, left to right. So whether you're looking for a driver's side window motor or a glove box light bulb, you can easily get what you need. Just go to NapaOnline.com. Reserve it now and pick it up in store later. Check it out now and we'll stop messing with your speakers. Or maybe not. Conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores.
Real estate is the largest and most personal investment that any of us will ever make. Be sure to tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. when Bob Kennedy, owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty, will be answering your questions and discussing real estate. So remember, that's Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Call 622-9622 with your questions. It pays to be an informed buyer or seller. This is news you can use from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty and your friends here at WOCA.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified, skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development